I'm a game changer.
I messed up the intro because I was trying to remove something in the background. I'm sorry. Med just fixed it too. That was messed up. All right. I'm Izac with Fun Football Podcast and co-host of BLITZ. Med, how are you doing, dude?
Hot. It was another 100-degree weather. We just finished up our little tropical depression of Debbie, and now we are drying out for good. How's everything else?
It's hot here too, but I didn't have a tropical storm for funness. That's Med from Shots on the Sideline, co-host of BLITZ, and we've got two boys from Talkin football. We've got a Dolphins fan and a Jaguars fan. Dan, how are you doing, dude?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Say the only Debbie I'm involved right now is little Debbie. So life's good up here for me in Wisconsin. Just got back from a family vacation. So, could not be happier to talk about football instead of superheroes and the beach and everything else.
You didn't like Deadpool Wolverine? No,
I didn't get to see it. No, we're
unfortunately, I won't spoil it. We'll talk about it.
We're just I got two little boys, and we're just in the action figure phase. They're 2 and 3, so right now it's basically just Hulk smash, which means I'm going to smack Dad with my Hulk action figure. So it's great.
Does he ever? Yeah, like my little one, she's 5, and she'll just come up and pummel me. That's actually usually like a good day. She just started kindergarten today. Actually, it was her first day. Hey. So I got to, and the wife isn't feeling great, so we went with the mother-in-law tomorrow. I'll probably drive her again. She had a great time. Justin, how are you doing, dude? I like the Jags hat.
Thanks. Doing well. You guys were talking about heat. You guys don't know what heat is. I live in the desert, and it's been 118 degrees here. So,
are you in Phoenix?
What was that?
Are you in Phoenix?
I'm on the border of Phoenix. Yeah. So.
I lived in Phoenix for 20 years. I know exactly what.
Okay, so yeah, it's been brutal. This weekend we're supposed to only be at 99. It'll be the first time under 100 in like 80 something days. So, we're excited about that.
Yeah, it's brutal. That's brutal. Yeah. The Phoenix heat, it's dry at least, so it's not humid.
Yeah,
but
dry heat. Yeah.
Dry heat. Yeah, Dan came and visited me for a golf tournament last year.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, we went down for a golf tournament last year, and she's like, "It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so nice out." It was so hot that like we couldn't even get drunk because we were sweating the beer out too fast.
Yeah. Oh no. This is my personal Facebook, so I'm not going to condone drinking, but I've done that in the past.
Well,
and then
the Kool-Aid.
Don't do it.
Just sipping the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly.
I was drinking Kool-Aid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have a coworker watching this right now, so
yeah,
about that.
We're good.
We got comments, and then I want to hear all about y'all's show. Chris B is watching, but really quick, your guys' collaborator left us an amazing comment. He said, "Let's go. Been waiting for this. Happy to have the collaboration underway. Much love to Justin and Dan and Izac." And he forgot Med.
They always forget me.
Always.
It's all gravy.
Peter says, "Hey," and this guy's awesome. He's been leaving cool comments. Bears, Dolphins, and he forgot the Packers. You turd.
It kind of hit in the heart for a second, don't it?
Yeah.
That hurts. I'm wearing what? Shots. That's Med saying, "Hey." And we got some more comments. Peter said, bonfires are a dry heat too. All right, guys, why don't you tell us about your show, where to find it, and just about it, and then we'll get going with some football stuff.
Yeah, Dan, you want me to handle that?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead, boss?
Okay, cool. So, we're talking football. There is 3/4 of us, so there's 3 of us on a show, and then we have Riley that really handles a lot of our social media, and he does some interviews for us as well. So, we started back in what year was it? 2019 is when we started this.
I think that's when you and Austin started.
Yeah, so Austin and I started it. Back in 2019. Been running ever since. Weekly show. We usually take a summer break, like most people do during football season. But yeah, we really focus in on gambling portion of this fantasy football, and it's NFL and college. So yeah, it's been great.
College?
Yeah, college. Yeah, we're very into some college stuff. We do some college fantasy as well. It's great. So like Austin, Dan, and I all live on different parts of the country. Dan's in Wisconsin, Austin's in Kansas City, and yes, we have to deal with the Chiefs fandom there. It's awful. And then I'm in Utah. So so we're kind of all over the world.
Chiefs are yucky. They're not going to three-peat. Just remind them that the three-peat's never happened. It's not happening this year.
I said they wouldn't two-peat either, and look where we're at.
And they tricked Tyreek Hill, and then they're like, "Hey, let's just show you."
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, and sorry, and you can find us at Talkin_football on social media.
Med, I've taken a lot of time in the beginning. I'm going to kick it to you for a while here, Ben. What do you want to start with?
Well, just to go ahead and get the geological stuff gone. Isaac's in Texas. I'm in South Carolina. We're covering the nation, baby. But Dan, you actually opened up with a really good question. So I got a question for you, and all 4 of us can go ahead and hit this. What is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
Ooh,
okay. So, okay. Yep. All right. I was going to go with the easy one, and I'm not, because then I remembered a core memory from my childhood. 5th grade, I spent like every day of the summer at my buddy Joey's house.
Okay.
And we would ride bikes down to the grocery store and buy cosmic brownies and then come home and play, was it 2K5 with the helmet camera?
Yes.
And with the apartment, and you challenge people. Yeah. So core memory, going cosmic brownie, locking it in, no regrets.
What you got, Justin? I like
great
that.
answer.
It is a great answer. Oatmeal cream pies are my thing. Like
You're so old.
I am, but like they're just so good. They hit the spot every single time.
They're crack. You can't really go wrong with a oatmeal cream pie. And cosmic brownies, funny story. My wife was supposed to bake me a cake, and instead she bought me a box of cosmic brownies. So I was like, "Oh, thanks, babe." Well, mine. I'm actually a fudge round guy. They're very chocolatey. Sometimes you gotta go with it. If it ain't that, it's usually an oatmeal cream pie. But I have a sweet tooth. I eat everything. So
this is tough, man. I really liked Swiss rolls as a kid, but I think I'd go cosmic brownies, man. I really do. They're so good. People, you know what? I want to start making this a thing. I really like that Matt did this. Drop your favorite Little Debbie snack in the comments. And even if it's a little bit later in the show, I'll hit them. Leave your favorite Little Debbie snack. I wish Millie Goats was watching this. If you guys know him, they do stuff like this every show, and it's hilarious, and I love it. So drop your favorite Little Debbie snack. Oatmeal cream pies are also near and dear to my heart. As a kid, I probably ate all of them.
I mean, the Christmas tree cakes are up there too.
They are. That was my second choice.
I forgot about those.
Low key.
That's a good one. We got zebra cakes, and he also was like, and the Packers. I forgot to show your team some love too, which we're gonna get to some quarterback extensions. Med has the #1 pick overall. We all signed our QBs, so we got a lot of QB stuff we can hit. Jason, thanks for watching, dude. Chris says, who doesn't have a sweet tooth? Chris, what's your favorite Little Debbie snack? I know he's actually in Canada, so that'll be kind of fun to hear.
And the thing with Swiss rolls is I used to actually cut the chocolate part off and roll it over and eat the cake and then eat the chocolate. So I mean, it was extra, I guess. I don't know.
I like it, man.
With oatmeal cream pies, the move now is to put it like in your air fryer for a few minutes and heat them up.
I actually heard about that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I haven't. And it's funny.
Dude, I might have to check that out.
I might have to do that because I use the air fryer for almost everything. Peter says, granted, it's Hostess, but Zingers are better than any of those. But specific to Little Debbie's Swiss rolls, and it's not close. Swiss rolls are pretty special. But I forgot about the Christmas tree. Those are, oh my gosh, those are fire. Ned, you got another one? I got some stuff, but I'm gonna go later.
go ahead and go with it. Like you said earlier, we all have different variations of what's going on with the quarterbacks and everything like that. I kind of want to actually hit up on some of the other storylines that are going on in the NFL as far as the offseason goes. Gentlemen, if y'all want to hit us with questions too, by all means, just drill us. Riley's got one really quick. Make sure to mention that the Caleb Williams recognizes the greatness of Matthew Stafford. And then I was actually going to do this. He stole it, but I'm going to hit Chris's really quick. He says, we had a little Debbie up here for ages, but definitely been Swiss rolls. So Swiss rolls, if we had like a poll up, I think Swiss rolls is pulling away in the
Swiss
lead.
rolls feels like they would be the dominant. Like you almost got to have like your favorite non-Swiss cake roll, Little Debbie. Because I think Swiss cake rolls might have dominated that category a little too hard.
I agree. All right, I got a sweet tooth thing before I hit Riley's quarterback ranking, because I actually was going to do something similar. What is your guys'? Let's do another food one really quick. We'll save one for the end too. What is your guys' favorite? Like, it's kind of like a Little Debbie. What's your guys' favorite guilty pleasure snack? Like, even if you're on a diet, you can't resist it. A snack or a drink.
Wings.
Wings. My wife works at a pizza joint.
I mean, I'm 300 pounds. Anything's a snack. So.
And I didn't even tell you this. So you know how she's working at that pizza spot? So my wife just started managing a pizza spot. They just opened it. And we actually, this is good and bad. we were one of the first 10 on the first day they opened, after they handed out pizzas the day before to promote. On the first day they opened, like a week and a half ago, we were one of the first 10 orders. And it had to be $30, and then you get a free pizza every week for a year. So we've already cashed in on that twice. So that's going to be a problem. Every week you can get a free pizza for a whole year. They're trying to boost business.
Sounds like Pizza Friday to me.
My weakness is going to be pizza then.
So Dan and I actually, when we met over Twitter, we just started a group chat about as everyone does, right? About just smoking meats. We got into our 30-year-old smoking meats phase, and it was like every day we were just trying to up each other of like, what could we do? So I think, Dan, that's probably a pretty safe thing for us, is just
like if probably steak. Just like in general red meat.
Yeah.
Dude, you're like in my heart right now.
I mean, I know you're talking to me. I'm in Texas, man. You're speaking like I've been wanting some barbecue.
I don't think we're recording yet, but like I told you guys, I live on a farm, so my freezer is all farm fresh, hand fed beef. So like, yeah, I don't care what the doctor says. I am not giving up red meat, brother. No way.
I gotta come visit, man. Like, it's funny is I'm coming to Phoenix in a few weeks, so.
I mean, you're about 3 hours away from me, but still. But Dan shipped me quite a few things from Wisconsin, which has been great.
That's what's up.
Yeah. I shipped him some venison last year, which was interesting. So you got a little whitetail.
Yeah.
So if I come up for a Packer game, I can come see you. Okay.
Yeah, just swing by. Probably on your way.
All right, man. Very cool. Ned, what was yours, dude?
Oh, snacks?
Wings.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I said wings, but I mean,
wings,
if you go like real snack, I would say pizza rolls is a solid.
Pizza rolls are a good one.
So are we all on pizza rolls instead of bagel bites then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I'll still eat those if I'm hungry enough, I will.
I'm not going to say no to either one, but I mean, if you're in the grocery aisle, in the freezer aisle, you got to grab one. We're all grabbing pizza rolls.
But we don't have good cheese curds down here in the South either.
Oh, man, y'all's cheese curds. There was a dairy stop the last time I went up. There was an ice cream joint like 40 minutes north of Green Bay, and I had this apple swirl ice cream, and it was. I know we've gone on food for 15 minutes. I don't care. This was absolutely delicious. I'll have to send y'all a picture later. I'll have to find it, but it was like this green swirl on the outside. It was the best freaking ice cream I've ever had. Oh, it was so good. The cheese up there is just stupid good. Me and my wife found a really good breakfast joint in downtown Green Bay, the Creamery, and then we went and had cheese curds and burgers that night, which is super healthy, but so good.
It is. There's a lot of protein in cheese curds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plenty of protein. Yeah, exactly.
Come on. What?
All right, but hit these comments and then we'll start this quarterback discussion. Jason says pizza rolls. Chris says pizza rolls. Peter says pretzel crisp with cream cheese frosting. And then here he's gonna Riley's kicking it off. It's a quarterback ranking for this show. Lawrence, Caleb, Tua, and Love. He's trying to make me mad.
Is he?
All right. I got a topic. Who is the least deserving quarterback of our four of either their draft position or their contract? Who is least deserving?
So
I'm gonna
deserving is an
challenge y'all here.
interesting way to approach it.
It is interesting,
For
yeah.
me, I'm going to initially go. I'll start out with Trees. Jags drafted Trevor Lawrence 101. So, like, that is them initially signaling from the get-go. He is our franchise quarterback. I think we can say, hey, year one, we're going to call that a red shirt with Urban Meyer. It doesn't count. Since then, I think the Jags, at least from what I see on Red Zone and me owning Calvin Ridley last year, led the league in only having 1 foot down in the end zone. So I would think there's going to be a lot of positive regression. There's probably the most potential with the Trevor Lawrence. Tua, hey, guess what, everybody? He played every game last year and he led the league in passing yards. Suck it. Got to the play. He's been to the playoffs twice now. Jordan Love had 10 really good games. And Caleb Williams is supposed to be a generational prospect, so you take him 101. It is what it is. So if you look at it, the least deserving, the guy who's played the least outside of Caleb Williams is Jordan Love. Hate to tell you. So I guess technically it's Love. Is it? It's a weird way to get there. I don't like how we got there. But if you're going to make me put it in a category of least deserving, he's done the least.
Yeah, but so maybe I should rephrase it. Maybe if you're a GM, which one of the four would you have felt the least good about? Because to me, it'd be, I don't even know what to make of Caleb. It's hard. Like, I almost just want to give him like a mulligan on this topic because we haven't even seen him in the NFL yet. So like, it's impossible to rate Caleb. You are just going off of pure conjecture at this point on what you've seen in college. We have no idea. They have weapons. He's looked pretty good in training camp, but we have no idea what he's going to be in the NFL. So I don't even think he like qualifies.
If you're going off of you're a GM, we're 4 GMs, and these are the only 4 quarterbacks to go. Who's the last one to be picked? I think it's Tua.
I think it's Tua too.
Like
actually,
if all 4 quarterbacks were free agents, and we now know, like, and they all come with extensions they signed, they come out and say, hey, they're a free agent, and this is the contract you have to sign them to.
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying? Then, like, we're just going to take Caleb out of it because rookie contract and all that stuff. So we're just going to take Caleb out of it.
My problem with Tua is that you're one concussion away from having a serious like concern that he might not play in the NFL again. Like, one bad concussion, I'd be worried. Like, you could say that about any player, but he's had 3. That'd be concerning. It's not just that though.
And then the ankles in college.
The arm strength is not as good as you'd want with that speed. And he's good in that system. Well, but I mean, Jordan Love did more with way less than he did last year.
We've seen, leaning into the Tua injury thing, we've seen that offense with and without Tua. And that offense is leaps and bounds better with Tua at the helm. So the arm strength, I'm not buying, because if you can still hit Tyreek and Jalen Waddle deep, you got plenty of arm strength. Like, if you know what I mean? So I'm not seeing that. And then you could get into the scheme thing is, does Jordan Love benefit from the Packers' very quarterback friendly, 49ers rooted Shanahan system? You can make the same argument for Tua. Is Tua helped by, having Waddle, having Hill, and then the competition thing. Love hasn't played the same level of competition as Tua. So, I don't mean to make this a Tua Love thing. Let's both gang up on the Jaguars and talk about how they've collapsed down the stretch the last 2 years. And maybe, Trevor's not worth it all of a sudden.
Peter Russell is on that point. I'd actually say Lawrence, solely based on character level. I'd sign Tua over him for sure. And nothing against Lawrence, but he doesn't seem to be quite that level of good teammate. I've got a whole Lawrence take for you guys. But Med, what are your thoughts?
With me, I'm not really a big fan of Tua, to be honest. I'm also an Alabama fan. So, this stems back from college. I think he really built his college career off of one completion deep in the left end zone to win a national championship. We talk about his arm strength and everything like that. When he was playing in Kansas City, he didn't really get the ball that far off, and sometimes you look at the receivers, they have to slow down to catch the ball. He still has a decent arm. I'm not saying he's Chad Pennington by any stretch of the imagination, but if you had, you basically got a Lamborghini and you're giving the keys to an old man and saying, hey, go get me some groceries. that the offense around Tua is just amazing. You got A-Chain, you got Morset, you got
Mostert, yeah.
I mean, you got everybody, but Tua's, I mean, he's accurate, but you know, how often can he really throw a 40-yard bomb? I mean, it's you see them actually do a lot of slants because of that. And I mean, me personally, Tua is right there. And I mean, also at the same time, I could say Lawrence is not much higher on my list. I'm not saying Caleb is the greatest and, you know, out of all that, but Tua, I think is.
We can get off Tua after this, but I just want to just let you guys aware of a couple little stats here. Besides Tua leading the league in passing last year, you guys understand he got rid of the ball faster than anyone last year and was top 5 in the league for depth of target. So not yards after catch. Like when the player caught the ball, he was top 5 in the league for that player being farthest away from the quarterback. So he's throwing top 5 deepest balls while getting the ball out faster than everybody and leading the league in passing yards and taking his team to the playoffs. But yes, I'm just struggling with that one.
I love it.
Okay, I got some stuff. I got some stats I'm going to throw at you in a second. Hold on. You're not going to like this take, so I want to back it up with as much stuff as I can. Let me hit Trevor Lawrence first. Trevor Lawrence, to me, I've made this take on multiple shows. I got some of it from Bill Simmons, one of my favorite podcasters, sports media guys. But my problem with Trevor Lawrence, and I don't know yet because I'd like to see some consistency around him. And I want to see if Brian Thomas Jr. is as good as we think. Christian Kirk has been really good there, but if he's your number one, I mean, well, and he's been banged up. I want to see the talent and the coaching around him can come up to, snuff. But I'm starting to wonder if he's. You have these number one overall picks, and even you could go 2 and 3, honestly. But that when you have a number one overall pick that's a QB, you either get a complete bust, Jamarcus Russell, who doesn't watch tape and lies that he did, and doesn't belong in the NFL. Or you get these just a guys that are like Baker, that hang in the league, can play, might make a Pro Bowl or 2, but they're never going to be a Hall of Famer or a real difference maker. They're just good enough to start most of their career. And then you get the Hall of Famers. And that's rare. And it's really hard to make that top class. And I haven't seen anything from Lawrence on the field except for a couple glimpses last year when they made the playoffs and they made the comeback, but he had a terrible first half, and they hung with the Chiefs, but they only went 9-8. He's had a losing record his 3 years. I mean, some of you can call it dumpster fire with Urban Meyer. You could say that. That's totally true.
It was.
But I just don't know if Lawrence was worth that. I don't think Love was either, if I'm being honest. That was the market, and that's a bad market. Love played 10 games, looked great in those 10, but that's a small sample size. Lawrence, though, I'm concerned, isn't going to live up to it. And I don't know if the Jaguars are going to franchise to support him.
Yeah. So here's my take on it, obviously, because I'm the Jags fan, right? So he went 18 games between the year that they made the playoffs, right? The second half of that season, once he learned Doug Peterson's offense, which there is plenty of data that shows that quarterbacks take a little bit to learn the Andy Reid scheme, right? So between that and the first half of last year, he was top 3 in almost every single category. And then he hurts his MCL. Then he gets a high ankle sprain. And then he tears his rotator cuff and he gets a concussion. And he plays through all of that, played like garbage for the record. Like I recognize
that's what I'm concerned about.
But also name another quarterback that's playing with an MCL sprain and all these other things. That is his throwing shoulder. There's all these things. And again, that sounds like excuses, but he was playing up to anybody else's standards, like top 5 quarterback for the basically a whole season before that. So I want to see this year. I think this year tells a lot. As for the contract, I'm very excited for it because the way that they structured it. He is still on his rookie year, the next 2 seasons, and then it really kicks up after that. In 3 years from now, what quarterbacks are going to be getting paid, he's going to be down on the list by the time he actually starts getting paid.
That's kind of where I'm at with Jordan Love. It could end up being a bargain.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So my argument there is he was, let's not forget, before that Bengals game or in that Bengals game on that Monday night, they were fighting for the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, ahead of Baltimore, ahead of the Chiefs, ahead of the Dolphins, all of them with a healthy team. And then that's when Christian Kirk tore his oblique, and that's when Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and then 2 defenders, like stud defenders, got hurt as well. So, I mean, honestly, I think this is a bigger year for Doug Peterson than it is for Trevor Lawrence.
I can agree with that to a degree. Really quick, Riley said, "What's wrong with Trevor Lawrence's character, man? This is fire. I'm loving this." Okay, I got a Tua take you're not going to like. He reminds me of Dak Prescott, and this is why. Against the Ravens, they had 237. Yeah, he plays great against really bad teams, and then when you play a good defense, he falls apart. And I've got stats to back it up, and this is what scares me about Tua. In that Buffalo game for the division, he only had 173 yards, a TD, and 2 picks. Did he lose a fumble in that game? No,
but the game where it was 12 degrees outside in the snow, it was hard to throw the football.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was at home. It was in Miami.
The Dallas game?
At the end of the year? That wasn't at the end of the year then.
Yeah, it was the January 7th game in against Buffalo at home. He threw 1 pick. He threw 2 picks, 173 yards. He only had 1 TD, 63% completion. They lost 21-14. They lost the division. The at Buffalo game was in October. I'm looking right now.
I think whatever site you're on has that backwards, because last year the Buffalo fans were screaming bloody murder because it was too hot in Miami for them to play. And it was like the first time Miami's beaten Buffalo basically since the Kennedy administration.
Damn, went really far back with it.
Really far back. It's been a while.
It was in Buffalo. Okay, yeah, it did flip it. But they got smashed by Buffalo twice,
They
dude.
always get smashed by Buffalo. That's like me competing against McDonald's cheeseburger. I'm gonna smash it.
And as for accurate as he was with those weapons, he still threw a lot of picks, and that it wasn't just him, but that entire team kind of fell off. The 49ers game, they got freaking shellacked for 34-3. The 2 Buffalo games, there's multiple games here where it's like.
Yeah, you thought Izac was the nice one.
No, I'm not on Tua. I feel bad. I want to be.
It is what it is. Okay, so Miami is offense. If you ever put them in bad weather, they're trash. So any bad weather game, I'm just gonna throw out the window.
I was looking at Tua.
It is what do you want to do about it? It's been that way
forever. Oh no, sorry. I was looking at Trevor Lawrence's stats against 49ers. That was terrible. But he got shellacked against the Buffalo game, the Ravens game. That's a nightmare. It was in Baltimore. But it's the whole Dolphins team.
You are naming off a lot of teams that are Super Bowl contenders to be.
I am. All I want to see is, can you play respectable? And Dak and the Cowboys did this thing where they would score 47 or 40 against the Giants or Washington. Then it came time to play Buffalo. Same team for you guys, and they get hammered. And I can't just put it on the quarterback. The whole team didn't show up. So I'm wondering if this is a Mike McDaniel thing as well. Even though he schemes a really good offense and they throw up 70 against Denver, then when it comes time to play Buffalo, and I know it was in Buffalo, but even both games, they didn't offensively show up or defensively, if we're being honest. So I'm wondering where the Dolphins' ceiling is.
So, as players,
I'm not trying to pick. I'm trying to be as fair as I can.
Coaches also learn coach. Before Mike McDaniel got to Miami, he had never been a play caller. Ever. So, he did get a little big for his shoes there in the first year, and you see growth. He's no longer even little things like going forward on certain force down versus other, or play calls. There's little things as brilliant as Mike McDaniel is, he was still a very young play caller learning how to call plays, because playing Madden, playing college football, whatever, can make boneheaded play calls. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And that's a video game. All right. You can quit and start over. This is an NFL. Okay. This is completely different. So, you look at what Mike McDaniel's done as a whole. It seems like that team is trending the right way. They had a mountain. I almost used a naughty word, but I didn't, because I know we can't. So, hey, everybody, say hi to your kids for me. They had a mountain of injuries down the stretch. It got to the point where I missed the phone call, but they were trying to call up me and Treese to play edge for them down the stretch. Okay, and in the playoffs, it was so bad. Miami's offensive line last year, and I'm sorry, everybody, for making this Miami podcast. I promise we'll move on. We'll talk about something else.
I get it. I just only brought the point up. It's all right.
There
it's
were there were 5
team.
quarters in last season, playoffs, regular season, 5 quarters that the Miami offensive line was healthy, okay, as a whole, okay? Of those 5 quarters, 4 of them came in one game. Would you like to guess what game that was? I'll give you a hint.
The 70-20 game?
It was Denver. Okay,
it
so
did long. I was like, it's got to be the game where y'all looked freaking outstanding.
So, and I get every team is injured, and the NFL season is a war of attrition and this and that. But it seems like Miami is a team on the upswing. Personally, you can look at the Tua contract. You can look at the Tyreek contract. In 3 years, they can get out of that Tua deal for $3 million in dead cap. Hey, Broncos, take notes. That's how you do a quarterback contract.
Exactly.
So Miami is in a 3-year window starting this year where the chips are in. So much like Trees, hey, this is a big year for Doug Peterson. I think this is a big Chris Greer year, the GM. And yeah, I think, they basically said we're all in with Tua now for 3 years. He works in the system. Mike McDaniel can't say enough good things about him. Granted, I don't think Mike would say anything bad about anybody. But I think we're all in for 3 years here. And we're just going to, hopefully the couple coin flips go our way and stay healthy.
Fair. And it's not like the Dak thing to a degree because we've gotten 8 years and we've got 30 years of Jerry. I live near Texas. I live near Dallas. I'm near Texas. I'm like 30 minutes away from Jerry World. And that's been going on for 30 years where he's ruined that team. So I don't consider it the same situation. The Dolphins have had some historic crap happen that's been unfortunate with Dan and since Dan Marino. But yeah, I think they may still have some untapped potential. The only thing that scared me last year was they did that thing where they would just smash, and it's not an uncommon thing to smash up on the bad teams. I want to see how they play against it's not totally fair because the 49ers are excellent. The rate, like some of these teams that they didn't play as well against. And what was it? Was that Tua's first year getting a full season as well?
Yeah, it was. But go back to the Ravens real quick. That was some unfinished business by the Ravens because a year earlier was the game where Tua, bless his heart, led that monumental comeback where he threw like 6 touchdowns in the second half to beat Baltimore. So there was some serious bulletin board material. Baltimore had that one circled on the calendar. They were coming to bash some heads for the Dolphins.
All right, Matt, I've taken over for a while. I had to hit him on his I had to hit him with the hot one, so I'm sorry, man. I'm good. You got questions? I got some comments I can hit too.
You go ahead and hit the comments because that way we get everyone involved.
Okay, Peter's been having some fun. Here's wait. Let me get back to his question. We'll come to that in a second. Yeah, I think McDaniel will be better as an OC than having to watch for both sides of the ball. I'm curious if that's kind of an interesting thought. So the 49ers are just that good too, to be fair. Oh, Bill's here. He said chili and Fritos from earlier. He's my co-host on Fun Football.
Nice choice.
Very good. That's an excellent choice. I'm kind of sad I didn't say it. Lay's barbecue is amazing. See, that's exactly what I'm saying with the teammate. I guess I get trying to help your team win, and that's great. But if you're hurting them by being out there, you need to realize that too.
He's talking about Trevor Lawrence.
He
was
he was on the Trevor Lawrence.
It's also CJ Beathard. So like you have an injured Trevor Lawrence is better than CJ Beathard. So. I
don't know why Bill said Reggie White. I think he just wanted to throw Reggie White in there. He always does.
It's because of the question that Peter Russell threw.
Here we go. He was fast on that. Okay, here's a good question for everyone. 2 answers each. Who is your favorite player in your team's history, and who do you think is the best in team history? And Dan, I really like your points, and I hope I've got a lot of friends who are Dolphins fans, so I hope that Tua stays healthy and we see the best out of him. Because I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of tired of the Bills winning that division. It's time for them to relinquish.
Before that, we were tired of the Patriots. I just want people to be tired of my team. You know what I mean? That's what you want as a fan. You want other fans to hate you. You want to be like the Chiefs right now. People say you're a Chiefs fan, like Austin, and we just Chiefs. That's what you want. That's when you know you're good is when other teams are sick of you.
I agree. Jason's got a great one, so let's hit Peter's question, and then I've got Jason's got one for you in the comments. Who do you think is your favorite player in your team's history, and who do you think is the best who's your favorite player, and who do you think is the best Let's go.
Why don't the hosts start? You guys start.
All right, man. What you got?
Brian Urlacher is probably my favorite player as far as Bears go, and the greatest player, it's Walter Payton. I mean, it's either Walter Payton or Dick Butkus. I mean, I'm more of a defense guy, so I'd probably lean more towards Dick Butkus, but it's Walter Payton.
No fridge? Not the fridge?
Not the fridge.
Greatest player is probably, it depends on how you quantify greatest, because I'm kind of down on Favre because of all this stupid stuff.
Stealing money from the poor people?
Yeah, like that bothers me. And Rodgers is like not on my favorite person list right now. He
wasn't high on my list ever.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to answer Bart Starr because, I mean, he won 5 championships. So there you go.
My favorite pick like Donald Driver, just like pick a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Charles Woodson as my favorite. And I'm going to pick Bart Starr as the greatest because Charles Woodson was freaking epic.
Trees, why don't you go ahead?
Best player in Jags history is Fred Taylor.
I like that.
He also should be in the Hall of Fame. It is disgusting that he's not. It is seriously criminal. Like the division that he was in, like when he was playing, like let's not forget, he was playing against the Steelers and Baltimore, who were the best defenses, and he was running over them. Top like I think he's 16th overall in rushing yards in the NFL. So somewhere in that area. Let's look. Correction.
He's way up there.
17th. I was close. Then favorite player, honestly, Fred Taylor is one of the reasons I became a Jags fan. So that's there. But I probably have to go Maurice Jones-Drew because it's been a really dark era as a Jags fan for a long time. And he was like the only like glimpse of any sort of hope. So I'll go MJD on that one.
Dang, man. Not going to lie. After us doing the pod, I really thought you were going to bring the boat up. Really thought we were going to have the boat up.
I thought about bringing Bortles up.
For me, I think Dan the Man, greatest Dolphins, is pretty much a slam dunk. And for me, my favorite player to play for the Dolphins is a guy who actually never played a regular season snap for the Dolphins. End of the career, I've always just loved Brady Quinn. Everybody's got their weird, shameful football kink. Mine's Brady Quinn. So if we talk about like players that actually play, it'd probably like Larry Kazanka, something like that. Somebody who just, could just smash for people's faces. That's like whenever, a lot of people go to therapy, I just watch Mike Allstott highlights. So that similar running style, A-okay by me. So that's where I'm going to go. Brady Quinn's the answer. And then the guy who actually played, probably Larry Kazanka.
We got some good ones. Fred Taylor, vastly underrated. Walter Payton. Riley's got a good one for us. Jason's asking, Dan, who do you think will win the Packers? It's in Green Bay. Dolphins at Packers game. And yeah, he said in Green Bay. Who do you think's going to win that game?
Jason, I want you to do something for me. I want you to pray because I will be. Because I can't stand it if Miami loses to the Packers again. They lost on Christmas Eve like 1 year ago. And Miami was just whooping them first half. And then big shot, Tua took a hit to the head, and it was very evident that boy should not have been on the field because he looked like me playing Heisman on College Football 25, just whipping the ball at defenders. So I can't do that again. I got cocky at halftime. I was watching the game at my house. I had my Waddle jersey on. Miami's doing the thing. This is great. That Christmas was at my parents' house a mile away. I kept the jersey on, surrounded by Packer fans wearing the Waddle jersey. Second half, I did not have a good Christmas. Okay.
We got our old, we're going to have to bring him back on soon. Joe, I'm happy you're watching, dude. He says Max Crosby. That's a great choice. And Dan, I want to apologize. I hit you hard with the Tua question, but I wanted to know your thoughts on the Tua thing and the Dolphins because it was weird when the Dolphins and Cowboys played each other. They both played down. And I'm curious, what do you think is the ceiling for your team this year? I want to do one last Dolphins question, then we're going to move on to some fantasy and some other stuff. Do y'all think you can take the 1 or 2 seed? What's the floor? What's the ceiling? Then we'll hit the Jaguars, and then we'll go to Med's team, and I'll go last.
On a pure talent standpoint, I think you could say they're a contender in the AFC. Kansas City seems to not care during the regular season because they just we'll get in the dance and then we'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. Miami, I think of the teams that you want to say, hey, these are teams that are playoff caliber, is the most important for them to host a playoff game. We talked about the weather thing just in general. Like Miami's not a team that travels well. So that does hamper their ceiling. So if Miami does get a top 2 seed, I think they can win a playoff game. Or if they host a wild card game, I think they can win a playoff game. So that's where I put them in, like flirty. Like I won't call them a contender, but they're eyeing up contender. They kind of like, give them a double look at it. They need some things to go their way. So I'm not going to say it can't happen. Anything can happen, but they're definitely a team that you would expect to make the playoffs.
Okay. Justin, you got any thoughts on that? And then let's talk about the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, I'm high on the Dolphins like always. Like we had a huge getting into the gambling stuff. We had a huge parlay that crashed and burned on the last week of the year. Here, I'll just set the tone for everybody. We set this in July last year. We had Jags winning the division, Dolphins winning the division, and Falcons winning the division. And it's going to pay out. I think it was like 10 grand or something like that.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And they all had a chance on week 18. If they all won, they did it. They all lost.
At Thanksgiving, they were all winning the division.
Like 2 games, like 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, they were up by 2. The Bills were 6-6, and they came back and won the division at 11-6. And they had to have the Dolphins lose their last 2 or 3 games and beat them in the finale to take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys spent the entire day Googling every mean thing to say to a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they have a legit shot at winning this division, though. I do think that the Bills take a step back a little bit this year. I think that the Jets are a legit concern. I think that for how good they played without Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers doesn't even have to be Aaron Rodgers. He has to be not Zach Wilson, and they can probably win that division. So that one will be interesting to watch. As for the Jags, this division is crazy. I don't know if a lot of people recognize how hard this division could be. The Colts are a very good team with Anthony Richardson in their defense. We all know what the Texans are doing. I will never say a nice thing about the Titans, so I'll just end it there. But
fair enough. They spend money and they still probably won't be that good. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that I've said this on record too. I think this division winner is 10 wins max. I could even see it going 9 again. It's been 9 the last 2 years.
Don't buy the Texans, huh?
Well, I just think that the division's so hard. I think that we're all going to beat up on each other, and the Texans have to play that first place schedule now, so they don't get to do the last place schedule like they got to last year. I think they're a very, very good team. I just think that 10 wins is probably a max for this division winner.
Like we've seen with the AFC North, the last 8, 10, 12 years, it feels like, all the teams are so good. They just beat up on each other, and come, Thanksgiving, they're all in the hunt because they've all just, gone sub 500 in the division.
It's an interesting thought. I hadn't thought of it that way, but the Colts could be pretty good. Matt, what are your thoughts on this and the Bears, man?
With the Jags, the only thing I was really concerned about is their inability to really stop the rush. For a while there, towards the end of the season, they got gashed quite a bit up the middle. I think at that one point, offenses were running about 187 yards per game. I mean, it was pretty bad. And I mean, it looks like they really adjusted to that.
And they fired Jim Caldwell and hired Ryan Nielsen, who's one of the best run defensive coordinators in the NFL. So they recognize that as well. It's a great call out. It is a great call out, man, because they could not stop anything.
Because, I mean, like I said, I'm 2.5 hours away from Jacksonville. So I see a lot of Jacksonville games. And one thing that I thought they should have went after was trying to actually get, not necessarily Tre'Davious Sweat or anything like that from Texas to really clog up the middle or something like that. But, you already got pass rushers with Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, which was a great move to actually keep him in. One move that really did kind of confuse me a little bit was the Gabe Davis. I understand the whole logistics of it. He's a number 2 receiver. You paid him number 2 money. But right now, and with Christian Kirk being there, and now y'all brought in really the one receiver that went in the first round, well, besides Ricky Pearsall,
Brian Thomas. Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr. didn't really explode until his last season.
For
How
sure.
do you feel about, as far as like Jacksonville is concerned, on that draft pick?
Yeah. So let's start off with the defense, right? So I kind of hit that first part, and then I think the big thing is they signed Eric Armstead. He is going to clog up that middle. I think that this defensive line is going to be pretty solid. They drafted Mason Smith in the second round out of LSU as well. I'm actually more concerned about the number 3 edge rusher, like behind Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen. They have nobody. Like, that's actually my bigger concern, is like those guys are going to get gassed. Like when they come back in, like it used to be Chason, who was like hot garbage is probably the best way I could describe him. Like he was so bad. So there's that. As for the pass catchers and going over to the offense, Christian Kirk is one of the most underrated receivers there are. Like he is so good. And it's hilarious because like they got so much heat when they signed him to that big deal, me included. For the record, I'm not going to act like I wasn't. Like I was just like, whoa, that's some crazy money.
It was big money. I actually saw him at the school I worked at as an aide over in Arizona. He was at Saguaro High School, so I actually saw the dude play in high school.
Cool, that's
when
awesome.
He was there. But it was big money for a guy that had never eclipsed 1,000 yards.
Yeah, and the last 2 years, he's lived up to every penny of it. So I'm excited about Brian Thomas. I think that the one thing the Jags haven't had in this Doug Peterson offense is like that deep threat, and that's exactly what Brian Thomas can do. A lot of people can say, well, isn't that what Gabe Davis is? I think that like Buffalo might have almost put him in a box a little bit and didn't let him try other things that he could do with the big body, like going across the middle and trying to use his big body to like block off defenders and try to do that. How he fits into the scheme, like I'm actually still very curious about how he fits in there. It's also very tough with all this Ayuk news, because like there's very valid reports of like they offered a first rounder for Ayuk. The Jags offered they were picking 17 this year. They offered 17 and Zay Jones for him, and they said no. And now it sounds like they might give him up for less. And like I would take Ayuk over Brian Thomas and give Davis.
Wanted to trade him. I don't think they wanted to trade Ayuk. I still don't think they do, because unless they get an Amari Cooper back or a good receiver, which isn't going to make a lot of sense for most teams.
Yeah.
The 49ers know if they give up Ayuk, their Super Bowl window probably closes.
Well, I mean, right now that rumor is all of a sudden possible 3-way trade. I don't know if you guys saw that today, of like getting Devontae Adams involved. And
the Jets go to the Jets.
No, so Adams going over to San Francisco.
Oh.
And then Ayuk going to Pittsburgh, and then the Raiders getting draft picks. Again, like this is all like it's all Twitter, bullshit.
That'd be like the first NFL 3-team trade right there.
Exactly. So I still think Ayuk ends up as a Steeler, for the record, like when it's all said and done.
I'd love that for Antonio Pierce, because he's just looking for excuses to run the ball.
Yeah, yes.
He's like, oh, sorry, we traded Devontae Adams. I got to give it to Zamir White.
Zamir White, you thought 30 was enough carries? No, try 40.
let's go 35.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I got to say, it's really cool to have a Dolphins and Jags fan on. We're typically doing Packers, Bears, 49ers, Lions. It's cool to have some AFC representatives. So this is pretty sweet, guys. Yeah, I'm having a blast.
I love it. So I have a few questions. And sorry, I'm going to like kind of take over here, because like for you guys. So I have close ties to both of your guys' quarterbacks. So obviously Jordan Love went to Utah State. I'm a Ute, grew up not that far away from Utah State. So really love Utah, and Jordan Love and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about your wide receivers. And then obviously, Med, your quarterback is a guy that could never beat the Utes. And is there concern about that toughness of defense that like the Utes would do, that like for some reason Caleb just couldn't get over that hurdle? And like what was that difference maker on for him, of like why the downfall? I shouldn't say downfall. Why the lesser year last year compared to the previous year? So
you want me to go first, or you want
either one?
I've talked a lot. Ned, you take this.
All right. So whenever you actually set a bar like what Caleb Williams did that Heisman year, it's hard to actually live back up to that again. I mean, he still had a decent year and everything like that, but also at the same time, when you play like you did and just knock it out of the park, I mean, Jaden Daniels did it last year. and you knock it out of the park, you want to try to do that again. You want to live back up to the same thing that you just did. So you're going to hold on to the ball a little bit longer. You're going to try to make that big play. That's one of the things that I did not like about Tua at Alabama, because he would always have his eyes down the field. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm not trying to do all the
strays, guys. What is
the strays? We talked so bad about it, though.
Are you guys familiar with the swear jar?
I tell you what,
next person says Tua is putting $10 in a jar.
I'll be like $1 million. I'll be a millionaire by now.
Take 5. Go ahead. Throw 5. Do it. We're 50 minutes in. Do it.
I'm just saying, like, as far as that's concerned, he's always looking for the big play, and that will open you up for the big sack, a big turnover. We had the same problem with Justin Fields last year. There was 3 games that Chicago Bears had a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter that we lost. We were actually a playoff capable team. We just lost because of a timely turnover. Caleb in time is going to probably be able to actually eclipse that, but until he actually does it, he has to be able to get rid of the ball. And that's where Tua is actually really strong at, because he's like, I guess he watched plenty of Dan Marino things where it was like, oh, yeah. So, I mean, in the end of the day, I think what happened is the Utes have always historically had a good defense as far as their team is concerned. And I mean, me personally, if you ever watched any of my personal show with Shots, me and my co-host Seth became huge Pac-12 fans last year. Like, man, this is but it's just one of I just think he played too much hero ball. And it's the fact that when you try to live up to what you already accomplished and everyone has all their eyes on you and they're expecting you to do that again, you can't. I mean, he had a magical season. He had over 50 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels just did it too. There's no way you're going to replicate that 2 times in a row.
Agreed. Also, RIP Pac-12. We'll always miss you. You'll always have a personal.
Dan, I'm so sorry. This was not meant to be a Dolphin slander show. I just want to tell you, one of my favorite movies as a kid was Ace Ventura, and it's because Dan Marino was in
it. There you go. Yeah. And,
no. Pet detective. The comments was about to lose.
Real quick, if you got a drink, go ahead and hold it up, because you're all the only team with a perfect season.
That's right.
So there you go.
Yeah. So, and I see Peter says, yeah, you got to remember he lost Jordan Addison, the top receiver, 100%.
You can see the comments?
Yeah, I can't see the comments. Yeah. And sorry, that was more of me taking a shot at Caleb Williams one last time more than anything. Caleb Williams I think is going to be absolutely great. I think he's going to be a top quarterback in this league. I just, as a Utah fan and a Utah alum, I had to take one more shot at USC. So that's more of what it was. And that was more for the comments, not for you, Med. But honestly, Dan and I had this, we were on DJ Moore. We were on DJ Moore 3 years ago before he was even on the when he was just on the Panthers, saying
good call.
He is one of these top guys. So
I think Rome is going to be sick. It really, if Caleb fails, it'll either be him or it's the ownership that could ruin him. But I think that their odds of finally landing a franchise quarterback are pretty solid. I would say more than 50-50. I still have a little trepidation, and not as a Packers fan, just because the Bears have never figured this QB thing out. But unless the offensive line falls apart, that's my big concern with that offense. The offensive line, and as solid as Swift is, will they finally have a running game? Because Jordan Love took off at the end of last year when he had a running game to support him. So I don't want to take over. I've talked a lot. Med, I want to hear more of your stuff, and I'll go last.
Well, the only thing I could actually say as far as being a Chicago Bears fan, it's been really hard to be one. Because basically for the last 30 years, we've been having ownership just sit there and tell us, okay, well, you need to be patient. We're working on it. We got the guy. Okay, well, we got Mitchell Trubisky. Okay, so we got the guy. And then you see what happened.
Jay Cutler on a treadmill. Love it.
Yeah, exactly. And then, and the fact that you hear all the stories about the 1 year where he finally took over as the starting quarterback, he, didn't want them to have any of the TVs on for any of the local stations because they would badmouth them. To play in Chicago, you got to have a good head on your shoulders. You got to be able to block out the noise. And that same thing can be held with Miami when they had Jay Fiedler back in the day. Same thing with Bortles with Jacksonville. They had Mark Brunell, who threw no more, I think, than 20 touchdowns his entire career, but he was efficient.
Mhm.
And with at least the Dolphins and really everyone else's team in this thing, they had a vision and their team stuck with it. And the Bears for the past 30, 40 years have been hearing, you got to be patient. So we got Justin Fields, we got the guy again, and you didn't do anything to help him out. You know, they got DJ Moore, they got Cole Kmet, and then who else? Not a damn person. And it's frustrating to be a Bears fan, especially with the fact that, and watch Isaac smile when I say this, when you lose 10 games in a row to your biggest rival, it's not a rivalry then.
Yeah,
You're a doormat.
100%.
So, you know, we all have our rivals. Like Dan said, back in the 90s, the Dolphins-Bills game was the biggest game in the AFC. At one point, it was the Jaguars going into the AFC Championship game against the Titans. The one year that they should have made it to the Super Bowl, the Titans beat them 3 times. And, you know, I know
we're doing this right now.
Man, you're taking shots, man. I thought I was like going for it earlier.
Well, I figured Dan got enough.
Yeah, Dan got
enough. Keep piling on Justin.
Yeah, this is
like,
that's
this is
like
great.
sitting with like a Nerf gun. He's like,
yeah, I love it.
I mean, y'all can pile on the Bears, but I'm gonna be honest. We got concrete thick skin. Everyone's like, oh man, your team sucks. Okay.
You're like, yeah.
Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I had no idea. You just rocked my mind.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, Med, I went to the draft in Chicago, and in what was that, 2016? Yeah. And that was like the funnest event I've ever been to in my life.
oh, it's great. Chicago's great, man.
It was
is.
so
Very
much fun.
passionate fan base.
Yeah.
I actually went to my first ever NFL game. My wife, it was a big thing for us. We've been to Canton, but we went to Atlanta for a Bears Falcons game, and you would have thought it was Chicago.
That's
like
awesome.
so
Heck
many
yeah,
team
dude.
players.
So
And
cool.
me being a Bears fan in South Carolina, there's none of us here. You get Jags fans, you got Panthers fans, and you got a lot of Eagles fans. But you know, this was, and she said it was so cool because I don't get and she for our 12th year anniversary, she's talking about us going up to Chicago. I might have to get strapped, but you know, we'll go to Chicago, watch the game up there, and it'll be my first ever home game. So I'm gonna travel 1,700 miles to go to my first home game.
There might be a slim chance I go to that Packer Dolphin game, but it is on Thanksgiving. But my dad's buddy could get tickets. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to miss Thanksgiving, but we'll see. We'll see, man. Okay, we had some fun questions in the comments.
Good.
I don't want to go too long because we're trying to do better with keeping the show at an hour and a half or shorter, but I'm having a blast with y'all. Okay. This is an interesting one, really quick. Had anybody heard about the DK Metcalf thing? Honestly, I hadn't heard of that one.
Yes, I think he's gone at the end of next offseason. I actually thought the same thing. I mean, he's causing problems again in training camp. It seems like every year. Like,
I think he just wants out because they've been trash recently.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see him being another year, and then
it's like Adams. He just wants out.
Exactly. Get rid of him. And then Lockett's probably going to be getting close to being gone. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like for those fantasy owners that have been waiting for JSN to like take off.
Yeah, JSN.
But they wanted him in the spot. And all of a sudden now he's going to be their number one. Yeah, now he's going to be their number one, and JSN's going to be set up for failure. So I easily could see Metcalf being gone after this year. They're not going to make a move this year.
Matt Peters got you. You're good.
Yeah.
Does anybody else think that DK Metcalf just like screams Cleveland Brown?
That's where the IU Cooper trade is interesting.
I can see that.
Matt, sorry, you're good.
Oh no, I was agreeing with Dan on that one.
Okay, there was a fantasy question from earlier, but Jason had one. Who do you guys think? We didn't really talk to Packers, which is fine. I throw them into every show. I'll throw them in at the end. Med here's plenty of Packers. We've tossed a little Jordan Love in. Who do you guys think is going to win the NFC North?
This is fun because obviously you two are here. Our social media guy is a huge Lions fan, so the
Lions are the best team in the division. They are. The Lions are the best team in the division right now.
Yeah,
they be most talent.
Watching right now too.
I will say the Packers. I love LaFleur. He's one of my favorite coaches. I think that the way they build their team, they're just built to win those nasty games as well with the running game. I think that Love is going to continue to do well. I still think the Lions make a play obviously a wild card, and I could even see them going further than anybody else in this division in the playoffs. But I think winning that division back-to-back years, especially for how long it had been for them, whatever, 30, 40 years, whatever it'd been, like, I don't know if you can replicate that. I think that is a very hard thing to do, like not only just playing, but like emotionally. I think that can take a toll on those players. So I'm actually going to take the Green Bay Packers to win this division.
Ooh, Dan, who you got?
So this is going to be pretty boring. Unfortunately for me, I'm very in line with Treese on this one. I think, and it just pains me, and I know I got a couple of buddies who are going to hear this, and they're big Packer fans. I'm going to get shit at the gym for this. But, yeah, I think it's Green Bay. You look at, Detroit is coming off such an emotional high of, first time in 30 years?
30,
of winning a playoff
man, 91, 32 since they'd won a playoff game. Yeah.
I mean, and that city was completely galvanized. They were in it, and Dan Campbell was the perfect,
great
coach for that situation. Everything he said, the heartstrings were pulled. And then they even hosted Stafford in the playoffs, and they beat him. Like, everything happened last season. I think Dan Campbell even said it in the locker room. Like, he said, "Guys, I don't know if we'll ever be back to this moment." So. We always talk about the Super Bowl hangover. I think the Detroit is going to have an NFC North hangover, and I could just see them, even if they just play like they did last year, there were so many games that they had to put up 40 some points, and it was just like a Madden game back and forth.
The Bears games, both of them.
The standard is winning the division. That's what they do. They wake up in the morning, they brew their coffee, they win the NFC North. Okay, it's what they've done the last.
You're my new best friend, man. I feel so bad. I'm going to take back all my Dolphins comments. You guys are going to be great this year. I had you guys nominated, by the way.
They even went to as far as to, if there is a level of regression with Jordan Love from the MVP he played like the last 10, 11 games, if he comes down from that peak even a little bit, they went out and got Josh Jacobs, who led the NFL in rushing 2 years ago, and he's still only like 26. So, they've done everything to improve their depth, to shore up any shortfalls they might have, because the Packers, as you were, they did struggle last year when running back, was injured. Of course, I had him on my fantasy team. Now he's in Minnesota.
Aaron Jones, yep.
Aaron Jones. When Aaron Jones wasn't on the field, that offense was noticeably different. So what do? They draft a running back, they sign a running back. This is what good teams do. You identify your holes and you fix them.
Man, I feel so bad. We trash their teams and they talk so glowingly with the Packers.
Oh, if you want me to trash your team, I can. I mean,
so my question marks for the Packers is: I love Xavier McKinney. Are we going to finally have a run D? Because that's what killed me. I was in freaking Arizona, where not that far from San Fran. I went to a Buffalo Wild Wings. It was unfortunately right after a family member died. And I was in Arizona watching that stupid game where we hung in there and we almost won that stupid game. And we lost because we couldn't stop George Kittle and we couldn't stop the run game. And it was killing me. So I'm wondering, my biggest question mark is Jeff Hafley going to be able to get this defense going because they switched from a 3-4 to a 4-3? So I'm going to try not to give too long-winded of a take, but now we're on the Packers. Will it be kind of like when you're implementing a new offense, it can take a little while to learn the defense. It's like when Phil Jackson went to the Bulls in 89. The 89-90 season, it took them a full year to really get it. They made progress, but not significant until the next year. I don't think it's that big of a learning curve, but we also got to fill the personnel to switch from a 3-4 to a 4-3. Getting Xavier McKinney was great, but I'm not as biased as some Packer fans, even some in the comments. Hi, Jason. I don't know about our defensive line. I got to see Edgerrin Cooper play in the NFL. I got to see Quay Walker stop getting suspended or having a personal foul every 5 seconds. And can we stop the run game? The offense, Jacobs 2 years ago was amazing. Is he going to be close to that form? I hope so. I think so. I'm curious if people having tape on Jordan Love is going to cause another slow start and a strong finish. If they can be more consistent, the floor could be 9-10 games. I want to see consistency because we played Carolina and barely beat them. We played Tampa Bay and made Baker Mayfield look like the second coming of Tom Brady in his prime. It was sad. The Bears were the only team we played well against we played like straight garbage against the Lions.
Y'all like to step up against us. What can I say?
I don't know what it is. You guys, it's weird. But that last game offensively, we didn't even play that great. Y'all just didn't score. And I'm going to throw something crazy out there. I actually want the Bears to be good, so it's a rivalry again. Because as fun as it is winning both games every year, I'd like to actually see them have a quarterback. Because if J.J. McCarthy shocks the world and is good, then the NFC North could end up being the best division in football. And that'd be fun for me. I'd be game. It'd be an actual tough division with all 4 teams good like the AFC North to win. So long way to take. That's my... I think the Packers win 10, maybe 11 games. That's my hope. I think they finish second in the NFC North. I think the Lions could have a hangover. I think the 49ers are in some trouble. Ayuk is in trade rumors. Trent Williams isn't playing. And Christian McCaffrey just had a calf injury. He's going to be out for a few weeks. I think the 49ers' time as the NFC champion is over. I really do.
Man, what I would do to have a team in the NFC.
I know, right? Because, like, how many teams are there?
You guys have no idea how good you got it.
I know.
It's an absolute bloodbath over here in the AFC.
It could get better it depends on the NFC South if anybody can represent. And the West, I think, is going to get better with the Cardinals. I think they're going to improve in the Rams. While they still it's got to get better.
Slow every year. I mean, eventually you got to get good. I mean,
so do you want to know what I want this year?
What do you want?
There's a team we haven't mentioned this year. You mentioned the NFC South. I want nothing more than the Falcons to host Green Bay and Kirk Cousins just like obliterate the Green Bay defense. I would be so happy.
I'd be able to watch.
Kirk Cousins going to play this year? All year? Is he going to last?
He's going to last as much as Rodgers should.
So that's the question. How many games does each person play?
I mean, there's a lot of examples of 40-year-old quarterbacks coming back from a ruptured Achilles.
Yeah.
If you guys want to hear 40 minutes of hating Aaron Rodgers, just go over to the Talkin' Football podcast.
Absolutely.
Oh, you just got a fan.
Yeah.
I'm also not a fan of him, so I'll listen to that any day.
I mean, I remember one time that asshole broke his collarbone, came back out, threw it. Well, that's what happens when you put it on Facebook with me. And throws a bomb, scores a touchdown, beats us, knocks us out of the playoffs, all in one throw. Yeah. And it's Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check himself. So, I mean, it's just one of those things, dude.
Riley's got one for us, and I was going to hit it. I'm sorry. He wants to know where Brian Thomas Jr. falls in PPR leagues. That is a good question.
Let
me get my resource. Hold on.
I was going to say 9 or 10.
Yeah, I'd go with
it's been around,
because
man.
I mean,
as
Christian Kirk.
Like, if you want to tier him, would you want him as like your wide receiver 3?
No.
That's
the bench.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it almost like instead of round, I think it's easier to kind of like tier him. I want him as I want him drafted late enough where second half of the season, I think I can start sneaking him into my lineup. But it's not somebody I'm drafting to start.
Yeah, 100%. You're saying early in the season, if I need to put him in my flex because of a bye week,
be a little nervous about it.
I'm going to be nervous, but I can do it. But knowing that he's not in my starting lineup from the get-go is what I want.
So I buy this silly thing and this baloney book. I buy it because I bought it for years. It's the Index. You ever bought that back in the day? I buy it every year. I bought it I've done fantasy since 98. I'm not that old. I was only 10. So do the math on that. I'm 36.
Justin looked at both of our screens like, man, these guys have them right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there's a good chance you're on a laptop right now.
Yeah, there's this thing called the internet that just has this stuff digitally.
How are you guys?
I know. I wanted to use this because I thought it'd be hilarious.
I don't.
You got a book too, though.
Listen,
I don't want to get.
I make fun of you, but Dan and I buy this book every single year too.
Well, that's fair.
That's
I also have a digital copy on my. I also have a digital copy on my
It's a tradition. I bought it every year since I was a kid. It's a traditionary thing.
I get it. Yeah.
I don't even like the book anymore. But they got him at number 54 in PPR. I would lean a little higher. I would probably go receiver 4. So receiver 3, 4 flex range. But if you're in a double flex league, I actually really liked Brian Thomas Jr. It just depends on, is Lawrence going to be healthy? Because if not, the whole offense is handicapped. Yeah. So can they keep him healthy?
Was it
Yeah.
like last year? There was like 70 starting
my
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it was
think-
terrible, man.
Yeah, it was terrible. Like I think he has huge upside, but again, like going into the year, you just don't want to be like, yeah, I want him as my wide receiver 3. I think that's where we're all at.
The only thing that I could say about Brian Thomas Jr. is the fact that when he was at LSU, everyone else seemed to play before him. All the other receivers that have come through LSU and everything like that, and then out his last season is when he blew up. So that's the only question I have. Is he going to be able to blow up like right out the gate?
Jason said I'm calling him out, which I did.
For me on that, and again, this is just maybe Jags homerism, but it's like you got Christian Kirk, you got Evan Ingram, you got ETN. Like he is literally going to be the biggest afterthought in that offense, but like he's also the fastest deep threat that there's going to be that safety over the top. That's why I could see a Gabe Davis or a Christian Kirk just taking off again this year.
What was his speed? Did he crack 4.3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he 4.3?
Yeah, he was. I think
he's like a not as talented Randy Moss is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, for sure on that.
He's like a good Gabe Davis.
Yeah, he ran.
Oh, there's a good analogy. I like that.
So don't steal my stuff, Dan. I know we do a podcast together. That was literally my take before the draft.
It's fun bringing two guys on from the same show. I'm about to do this on my other show. This is kind of fun.
Yeah, we just like to. Yeah, so 4.33 for him. So he's got the speed.
Okay, I got a quick question for everybody, and then I want Med to ask one or two more, and I got a final fun take, and then we'll wrap in a little bit because I'm going to try to be good and keep it at an hour and a half or less.
Love it.
Is Odell Beckham got anything left? Do you think he'll make an impact with you guys this year? Like,
hell no.
My God, who's he even playing for these days?
Med is like anti-Dolphins. I didn't
even know that he was a Dolphin. I'm sorry,
Are
Dan.
you kidding me? He was trying to get you to say something to me. And of course, he's a Dolphin.
Yeah. No, he doesn't have anything left. He hasn't had anything left since he tore his ACL in the Super Bowl. That was the end of.
I mean, he was balling out during the Super Bowl, but that was the last time we really saw him because he went in the black hole that was Cleveland Browns receiving core for like 2 or 3 years, and then he popped back out. Like,
yep. And
The
I
weirdest thing is
legitimately
they used him as a
think
deep
Odell-
threat last year. He was solid as a deep threat.
I really think Odell is there for basically vibes and to help the young guys with route running. They got a lot of young guys with a lot of talent. Odell has always been a polished route runner. I think he's there as like a pseudo coach, but we're going to keep you on staff. Packer fan, Randall Cobb, sound familiar?
yeah.
Like I really think he's like Odell has had a really interesting career arc where like first 3 years Odell, we're like, oh my God, this could be a Hall of Fame player. And now we're in year like 10 of Odell. We're like, damn, brother.
I think he made his
When's
name
the
off
last
that
time you caught a
catch.
touchdown?
Mhm.
So I really think he's there as a, as almost like a senior advisor in the wide receiver room for, your Parker Washingtons, Jalen Waddle, etc. So I think he'll be on the field, but I'm not expecting anything.
Riley's having fun. LFG, there's something called the internet. Anyway, here's my magazine. Riley said, I love this damn good show, fellas. Who's another sneaky good guy to draft around 4 or 5? I got a fun one for you guys. This is a crazy one. How high would you guys draft in, we'll say PPR, not Dynasty? I am doing a Dynasty league. How high would you draft? I don't know if y'all do Dynasty. We can talk about that in a second. How high would you draft in a PPR Malik Neighbors?
So pretty high. I think he's going to get a lot. I
know. Me too,
I think
dude.
he's just going to get a lot of targets.
My dad's on him, and I was already on him before. This stupid book has
I'd say round 4. I'd say middle.
51.
I'd say middle of round 4 is probably where I would be taking.
I agree.
Around that.
So let's play a little game.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 3 names. I want you guys to order them because this is all just kind of in that range.
Rank them?
So,
all right.
Yep. So Malik Neighbors.
Okay.
Let's go Michael Pittman.
Okay.
And let's go. Yeah, that'll be fun. Drake London.
I would go Drake London. Then I would probably go Malik Neighbors. And then I would go with Michael Pittman because Anthony Richardson did not really have a great completion percentage at Florida. He was, I think, 54%. He really is more of a threat running the ball.
I'm going to shock you. Based on where their ADP is, If you're
No,
just
no,
asking,
no. They're all on the board. You got to pick one.
Okay. Ooh, okay. That
Put the magazine down. No cheating.
Yeah.
I
Isaac,
would do.
get him, Dan.
You know what? I'm going to
You don't
shock
love
you.
that?
I would
I
go.
love it.
I would go Malik Neighbors first. Actually, I just don't know about Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix looks
don't
great
know
in
about
college
Daniel
at some
Jones.
points, but is he going to be able to get Drake London the ball? And is Drake London actually going to be as good as we think? So I'm going to go Malik Neighbors, Drake London, and then Michael Pittman because of I like the Anthony Richardson take. I think he'll be a hell of a runner. I don't know if he'll be able to get Pittman the ball. I think they could all be productive, but I think there's a chance Malik Neighbors just explodes. They need a playmaker. Teams are going to have to focus on him, but he's got electrifying speed. If anybody who's playing quarterback there can get him the ball, they don't have anything else on offense. Anything.
Just real quick. First off, we're talking about Daniel Jones, whose leading receiver was his running back the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then if
That's
you
not
watch
his fault.
any of the videos,
retired. And
Look
Waller
look
retired.
who's in the wide receiver room. That's not necessarily his fault.
That might be the worst receiver room in the NFL now behind New England, honestly.
I mean, you do have a point there. I mean, when Shepard is your best one, and then you have, but still,
Wendell
running backs are
Robinson.
supposed to elevate the team.
Jalen Hyatt.
You can't cook without ingredients.
You can't
Yeah,
cook
but-
if you don't have a cook. I mean, it's Daniel Jones.
This is chicken or the egg now.
I don't know if Daniel Jones
Daniel
has it, dude.
Danger Zone Jones.
It's vanilla.
Come on,
Vic.
man.
He's
Daniel
not gonna
Jones
do it.
might be the most overpaid quarterback in the NFL. I'd rather pay Baker. I'd rather pay Baker Mayfield than Daniel Jones. Even at this, if you were asking me for the same money, which guy would I rather take? I just don't know if Jones has it, man. Like, even that Pro Bowl season where he got paid, he only threw 15 TDs. He ran the ball effectively. Yes, he beat up a terrible, overrated Minnesota team in the wild card, but he wasn't really that great. It was, I think Brian Daboll's a hell of a coach working with limited stuff. But that defense, though, with that pass rush could be fire, even losing McKinney. Getting Brian Burns with Lawrence and Thibodeau, that pass rush could be fire. Seriously.
Yeah, agreed. So I know I didn't take mine, but I mean, mine's pretty similar to yours. I would go London and then Neighbors. Just because I actually think it is very close though. So
No, I agree with that.
and then Pittman's third. And again, it's more just, but that Pittman's tough because of how fast they play. They play at a very fast pace that like he's going to get enough targets too. So I think that Pittman's probably a pretty underrated player this year in fantasy.
I like it. Dan, what was your rank? And then we had another fantasy one.
So longtime supporter of Michael Pittman Jr. I think he is like eternally one of the more underrated wide receivers in fantasy football because all he does is be a top 12 wide receiver. That's all he does.
He's 20th in my book, 20 overall.
Screw your
London is 11. So I picked some stupid stuff.
Go throw your book in a bonfire. Get some dry heat.
Malik Neighbors was printed in January.
51. Malik Neighbors is 51. That's so stupid. This book is
exactly.
awful.
Like your
I look
book
at this book and I'm like, move everything around. It's awful. This is what to not do, people.
What not to do is pay someone $160 million over 4 years that gives you C+ above average play.
The day of your draft, let me just tell. I'm gonna tell everybody this right now. Okay, the day of your draft. Here's what you do. Okay, if you're subscribe to The Athletic or the ESPN, whatever it is. Okay, if you subscribe in here for fantasy content, go to that site the day of your draft, copy and paste into an Excel sheet, and now we're gonna get wild. Okay, now we're really gonna get wild. We're gonna click all borders. We're gonna click all borders, and then we're gonna print that off. And then if there's guys you like, highlight them with a highlighter. Okay, and then you basically just made yourself a book.
Dan just learned Excel like 2 weeks.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually make my own. I actually make my own rankings. I've already put some videos out. I just make my own rankings.
Love it.
But yeah, you bought the book.
I just make my own rankings. So I make my own book. I create a book. It's like kindergarten.
It's nostalgic for buying the book, though, Dan. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
an $11 price. I just throw my money away and to read this garbage. It really is bad. Actually,
your laptop
you could have fed a starving child in Africa for like 3 months at $11.
You could, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Now you have no
Do you
picture on your phone.
Do you have a magazine, Dan? Show me. Where's your magazine?
Mine's the college
he's got.
Okay.
Tell you what, here's the one from 2021.
Outdated. I love it. All right. Riley's having fun.
Oh my God. Oklahoma
That's when he
Spencer
goes back
Rattler
to
on the
the
front.
archives.
We need to do another
Oklahoma
episode just on
Spencer
fantasy
Rattler.
football. Say a name like Izac did and just debate what round that player should. I like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Peter asked, because I do want to try to be good to Med, and my wife is sick, so I'm going to go check on her in a little bit. PPR format, where would we rank the Bears trio?
I think he's
Do
got
this
them
one
in
quick,
order.
because I got one
In
last
that order.
question.
In that order is
Like
perfect.
that.
Yeah. just
Yeah,
like
that's
the
actually be my order, except I'm a little concerned about Allen. But yeah, you can't draft a Dunze over him unless he actually gets hurt. So I agree. It'd be that order.
His left leg's held together with paper clips. So
Yeah.
Those paper clips held up pretty good last year, though, at
they
least.
did. It happens every once in a while.
Yep.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it, Riley. All right, here's my question. If you can make it like a minute or so, because then I want to give you guys some floor at the end to talk about your stuff. And Med, this was fun, dude. Good second show.
Yeah, man.
I just want to see like Med like going at our guests on their favorite teams, because I thought I started it, and I just want to see like.
That's your
Okay,
guys.
you know what? I got a question for Matt. What is your hottest Dolphins take? I'm going to change my question. What is your
All right,
hottest
it's good to
Dolphins
see you
take?
guys. We'll catch you later.
Dan Marino's overrated.
Why? On what grounds? Show your work.
Show my work.
Show your work.
I mean, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, his best seasons were the first six that he had in his career.
It's really his first four, actually, if you really look at it. He kind of
Why does that make
he was
him
amazing, then he tailed off.
So
Well,
he got
a lot
worse
of
as he got
people-
older.
No,
I mean-
no. It was in his 20s still.
I mean,
Like, if you just look straight at, like, and I don't like just looking straight at stats, but he had, like, that stupid 48 TD season. After his rookie year, he had 48, 30, 44 TDs. And then after that 3-year stretch, he only hit 30 one more time in his career. And it wasn't a passing era, but he was, like, explosive. And then just still Hall of Fame good, but way lower below that tier.
he's a great player. I mean,
So he's overrated because he peaked too early?
No.
Like, if you reorder his years and put like 3 of the years on the back, like slide them up in front, so then those like 3-4 really good years come from like 27 to 31, then he would not be overrated?
No, I think he's overrated because he needed a Highland maneuver whenever when playoff times.
Oh, because they didn't win the Super Bowl.
So he went
That
one
does
time.
hurt.
Yeah, he never won. He never won a Super Bowl.
He never won a Super Bowl, but that's not really it. I mean, you look at his numbers compared to like other things. I mean, just look him up. His completion percentage was 59.3%. His touchdowns, he got I mean, he ended his career as all time on
420
everything list. But now you look at his numbers. I just think that me personally, I just think that he is looked at and with rose-colored glasses. That's just being honest. A lot of people usually say he's a top 5 quarterback. I can name 5 quarterbacks better than him right off the rip.
I think you got to win a Super Bowl to be
Elway, and
Mahomes.
You threw me off.
Sorry, Mahomes. Montana, Brady, Mahomes. Keep going. You were listing quarterbacks.
Elway, and you got Brady,
Peyton.
Montana,
Peyton.
Peyton. So there's your 5 right there, and
Drew
then I would
Brees.
slide Marino into 6. It's nothing bad about that. I mean, he's still considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I just think that a lot of people usually slide him into like 4, 3.
I can't throw a quarterback up in the top 5 with even one Super Bowl ring. So I wouldn't even throw Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre up there. I just
Justin,
wouldn't.
let me ask y'all, where would y'all put Dan Marino? Top 10 all time.
Yeah, that's you're putting me on the spot.
So
in
like,
front of my guy
I
right
actually
now.
like hate this topic because like anytime like somebody uses the word greatest, it is such a like that's not a category, because it can be interpreted so many different ways. What is greatness? Is it talent? Is it career achievements? Is it purely stats? What is a combination of everything? So like I think we can all probably safely agree he's a top 10, top
Easily.
8, somewhere in there. But
Chris, with this comment,
the
with
greatness,
foul.
then you can do like, well, hey, what if Phillip Rivers didn't play in an era where he went against Peyton Manning and Tom Brady every year in the playoffs? He might have 3 Super Bowls.
And to be fair to you, and Med, I think, agrees with us on some level. It's not just on the QB to win a Super Bowl. It's just he's the most. It's a team sport. It's not basketball with 5 guys where if you have Michael Jordan, you're going to win a ring. Or even Even like, I mean, freaking Steph Curry was good for one as the best player. There's only 5 guys on the team. Oh, okay, really quick. Every time he comes on, I got to give him a shout. Back it up, Binge. JB is one of the coolest dudes we know. If you ever want to come on, dude, I know you don't do lives. We would do a recorded anything. But he's the best, seriously. Go check out his show, Back It Up Binge on YouTube. Every time he comes on, I give him a shout out. He says he gets Sims. Ooh, that's
a good point.
That's a good point. So,
is Trent Dilfer better than Dan Marino?
Hell
too?
no.
No.
Now
okay.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. It's like
change the goalpost.
But Dan, where would you put him?
Okay, for instance,
I'm just playing with you.
Where would you put Dan?
Well, it's like, okay, so I'm a Bears fan, so a lot of other Bears fans, and I'm expecting Peter to pop up on here in a second. I don't think that Walter Payton is the greatest running back of all time. I don't
either. I agree. It was just more explosive. And there was the funny thing is I remember Barry because I lived with Lions fans too, because I was 3 hours north of Green Bay. So I won't steal this point for long, but Barry sucked around the goal line and sometimes in short yardage sucked. So even the most talented running back I've ever seen had weaknesses. Tom Brady, guys, lost 2 Super Bowls to Eli Manning. There are holes you can poke in everybody's game. Dan Marino's probably one of the best pure passers I've ever seen. I still just wouldn't put him top 5 because at that high level of greatness, I've got to have a separator. He's top 10 for me. He's just not top 5. But greatness is hard to quantify. I kind of agree with your point.
Well, he did.
I get it.
He did carve him up. I mean, I'm not going to deny that Marino beat the crap out of the Bears on Monday Night Football. I mean,
yeah, there you go.
28-14. I mean,
I like this guy.
He's great. Seriously, if you guys want his link, man, he's awesome. He does little snippets. It's like a little 1 to 3 minute show. It's super informational. It looks like ESPN could have created it, and he does. And he's got the voice. We know another guy similar to him who does football. He does a lot of baseball stuff. He's great, dude. Seriously.
Cool. To answer your question for me, I think I have Marino at 5.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I got one last topic. If we can end on this, if Med has one more, cool.
I'm good.
What Izac brought up is the only reason I would put Walter ahead of Barry. He was nearly as dangerous in the open field and he could finish around the goal line. Jason says Walter and Barry are tied at 1. Okay, here's my last question, and then I'm going to give you guys the floor. And if Med's got another topic, but I want to try to be good about time. We kind of already hit it. Any final thoughts or predictions for your team this season? Nobody else's. Floor is your guys's. Dan, Jace, Justin, if you guys want to start, I'll go last.
Yeah, I think everybody's probably sick of hearing about the Dolphins at this point.
No, it's fun.
But what we haven't mentioned is they do have a new defensive coordinator. They brought over from the Ravens, so it'll be a new system. It sounds like it's really going to let Javon Holland play free. In that like hybrid name's escaping me right now, but who's the Notre Dame safety that they drafted to Baltimore?
Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton. It sounds like Javon Holland's going to be in a Kyle Hamilton role, which I'm really excited about because I think Javon Holland's one of the better safeties in the NFL. Incredibly underrated. Big love for the Snowman. So I do think Miami probably gets out of the gate slow, which is actually like opposite of what they've done the last couple of years. Usually they're scorching hot in September and then cool off as the weather does. But yeah, no, I think overall expectations for Miami. Yeah, now we're not friends in the comments back at the bench. It was a good 5 minutes. We are no longer friends. Let me hope. Okay, come on. Let me hope. So no, I think Miami is going to be a playoff team, and then let's just hope they play somewhere warm or a dome.
Ned, Justin, whoever wants to go first, I don't care. Justin, I'm going to go last.
Cool, I can go.
Jaguars.
I'm not going to go with like how the season's going to end. I'll go fantasy talk here. Let's switch it up a little bit. I will say,
how's ETN going to finish?
Are you in my head right now? Travis Etienne finishes as a top 5 running back in fantasy this year. I think that he still is going to be the guy. I think that last year he was still a top 8 guy last year, and he had like the most carries from -1 yards. And they upgraded their offensive line tremendously. I think that with the deep threat of Brian Thomas, it is going to open things up, and I think that he's going to have a lot of big plays. So I will say he finishes about 5th in fantasy.
I like
points.
it. Okay, I got to hit this. Dan's just going to be so mad. I'm a Fans fan since Greasy, and then Peter poked some fun.
Dan, I want to go ahead and apologize for the fact that we've been bashing your team.
If anybody needs me, I'll be watching Mike Allstott YouTube videos.
Hey.
We would love to have you back on. This was so much fun. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I'm sorry. All right.
I'm just gonna go shower with my toaster. Don't mind me.
Oh my gosh. My running back stupid book has ETN as 11, but I actually really like him this year, especially if Lawrence is a little banged up, or honestly, I think they might try to lean on the run some more. Hopefully they use him as a receiver. So I like your take a lot. And Dan, I like your take. I think the Dolphins and the Jags both have a shot at the playoffs. Med, Bears talk. Are you going to make the playoffs with a rookie?
No.
I had y'all 9-8 actually, and I was trying to be nice.
You went 9-8. I went 8-9. It just, I don't think it's going to be this year. We got a new OC, which is probably why DK Metcalf wants to leave Seattle. We got Seattle's offensive coordinator now to work with Caleb. If he can make magic with Geno Smith, I'm pretty sure he'll do all right with Caleb. But it isn't this year that I'm really worried about. Like Riley said earlier, it's getting back to what, he called it the bloodbath division. It's the black and blue. It was what it was back in the 80s and 90s, where we just basically knocked the crap out of each other. It's getting back to that way it is. Y'all are starting to actually get a defense. Detroit's addressed their defensive issues with secondary draft picks. And, the Bears are coming up. We're kind of wondering what the Vikings are doing, but, that's the Vikings. But
they do have some weapons there.
But Dan, who was more of a favorite Dolphin for you? Seeing I've been beat on you a little bit. Jason Taylor or Zach Thomas?
So I actually like Zach Thomas a lot.
He's great.
Like I think Jason Taylor gets a lot of the shine, but Zach Thomas, especially, like, big throwback my childhood. I played a pile of NFL Street 2, and Zach Thomas was a freak on that game. He's got the whole underdog thing because he's undersized. So yeah, a huge Zach Thomas guy.
I love it.
And I think he still has the record for most tackles in a playoff game.
Peter's showing some love. He's really enjoyable. Thank you. Got y'all followed on X. Guys, I'm trying to be good about time. Med, did you have one final question? If not, I'm going to let them talk about the show a little bit.
Yeah, just one real quick, just around the room. Seeing you were talking about Allstat, once again, Dan, you opened up a third eye in me. If you could get a throwback jersey for free, what player would it be?
That's a good one.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, creamsicle Mike Allstat jersey from the Bucks would be my number one.
So I already got mine.
It wasn't a Packer player.
Mine is you probably can't see it, but I got the auto card over my shoulder. I have a Raiders Bo Jackson jersey.
Ooh,
and I have the Twin Royals jersey, so whatever sport I go to, I'm covered.
I'm going to shock you guys. I think I'd go Barry Sanders. I mean, I love the Packers, but Barry Sanders was just such a special player. I think I would. Him or Jerry Rice. Dion might be third, and then I would go some Packer players. But growing up, as much as I love the Packers, those guys were just stupid good. Seriously. Like, I've never seen Barry and Jerry, a little bit of Jerry Rice, but Barry just reminds me, it's like Walter Payton's really close. It's so special watching. It's like watching Michael Jordan play basketball. It's just, there's something like just so unique about it. So, yeah. Ooh, I like the LaDainian Tomlinson. That's a really good choice too. Powder blue.
Yeah.
Justin, what was yours?
Ooh, I mean, for non-football, it's Mariners Ken Griffey Jr.
Solid.
Like that's it for me. for football, I mean, homerism of the Jags, and they're bringing the real teal jerseys back this year, which is fantastic. The best jerseys in football. But like a Jimmy Smith of those, or Fred Taylor, obviously. Like
Jimmy Smith. I haven't heard that name in a minute. Good pick, dude. I like that. Seriously.
Yeah, I got a Oilers Earl Campbell in my bedroom and a Mike Ditka.
Love that.
I'm just glad that we all love power running backs. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
One thing we can bond over is power football.
Yeah. Mike Oldson was the truth. And Corey Dillon, I just love the way he ran. There were so many guys that were physical, like
elbow pads.
Yeah, man.
Every time I think of Corey Dillon, I just think of elbow pads. I don't know why.
Just throw them at you.
Another player that is criminal that he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean,
for real?
If you look at his stats, like, talking about stats and everything, bringing back a previous statement that I made earlier. But yeah, no, when you look at the stats, he's definitely someone that should be in the Hall of Fame too.
Yeah.
And Dan, I'm going to be honest, if I was drafting one in PPR, and so I'll let you go, I would draft Tyreek Hill. I really would. With CMC hurt, I'd do it.
Yeah. And Peter, yes, there's plenty of love for Keenan McCardell, but the Lightning and Thunder. But it's Jimmy Smith was just that dude. He was the leader.
He was that guy.
He was that guy. So cool. Guys, this has been awesome. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, this has been great. I feel like
absolutely want. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say I feel like we could, whenever I talk to my wife, she's like, "Hey, what'd you do with so and so?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing." Like, what do you mean? I was like, "We literally sat around for 7 hours and we just said random football players' names, and you won't enjoy that." I feel like us four could do that and have a great time.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out Peter in the chat. I pointed out like 6 times when you tell there's an autographed print of LaDainian Tomlinson over my shoulder. That's what I've been pointing out when we're talking about Barry Sanders and whatnot.
I think I see it. Yeah.
My favorite running back, in my opinion, the most talented all-around running back in NFL history is LaDainian Tomlinson. He seriously had zero weakness in his game whatsoever. Guy even threw touchdown passes, for God's sakes. What more could you want? So real quick shout out.
That trade does not get brought up enough, by the way, with involving him and Michael Vick and everything. Like that trade should be talked
about.
Andrew
Brees.
Exactly.
Like
Same
really
draft.
Yeah. LT, honestly, if he'd won a ring, I think he'd be redeemed. I think he'd be like, people would talk about him. I mean, he honestly already, in a lot of people's circles, gets brought up right after Jim Brown and Barry and Walter. For me, he's like 4. Like, I think if he'd won a ring, he would be like seriously threatening those guys. But he was, when at his absolute best, I think he was right there, dude. It just wasn't as
well. He still had the best season
off a little sooner. Yeah,
was it 2007, 2009, something like that? It was that is the greatest running back season of all time.
It is.
And not only that, because like everyone in the stadium knew he was getting the ball, and it did not matter.
Yeah,
like that's a different level. Like a lot of people can be good when they're on a good offense. He was not on a good offense, and he was still by far and away the best player, or the best, had the best season for running back in NFL history.
And he ran like Walter a little bit with that gallop, and he just had such a burst. Mm-hmm. If he'd had a little bit better quarterback player coaching, he would have gotten that ring. That would have been sweet.
Elite face mask as well. Got to shout that out.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Elite. Made the visor cool.
Yeah.
You guys want to one last time shout out your show?
Yeah, for sure. So you guys can find our podcast. It's Talkin' Football. It's on anywhere you get your podcast. Occasionally we get on some YouTube stuff. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Kind of depends. If you're ever into fantasy, we do tons of dynasty talk, tons of redraft talk, tons of best ball talk. Gambling.
If I have time, I want to
do it. Gambling is kind of our thing during the season. I'll shout out myself and Dan. We have been well over 60% on our bets, which if you're a gambler, you understand that like really 60% is pretty dang good.
That is really good.
So we've been well over that each of the last 3 years, which is fantastic for us, that we're super happy about. We kind of separated out between college and NFL, and then we do a big parlay that we call our Talkin' Football parlay, where we kind of get our fans and included. So you can find us at Talkin' Football. You can find me at Justin Treese. And Dan, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, so I'm at Kiefer Dan 32 on the website formerly known as Twitter. Like Justin said, we're just like really ramping up. I think when we're done here, we're probably going to record our NFC preview. So be sure to check that out. I want to thank you guys. It's been great being on here. Maybe next time we'll roll the dice and flip a coin, whatever we got to do to make fun of somebody else the entire show. But like I said, you guys have been great. I'm looking forward to it. I want everybody to light a candle when Miami plays in Green Bay Thanksgiving night.
Go Pack,
and
go.
if Miami gets up early,
Go Pack,
I want
go.
everybody to pile on Izac, okay?
Go Pack,
don't
go.
worry. I got you.
Be relentless,
go.
people.
It's at home in November. You guys are in trouble.
Right.
It's in
And
November.
when Miami loses, I want nobody to do any shit
Sympathy.
talking. Just feel bad for me and just think, Dan's probably somewhere in a quiet room watching Mike Allstott highlights.
Oh, dude, I'll just give you the bro hug over spiritually.
Oh, Peter, what? No Pack, go. Dolphins win by 17 there.
Did you say no Pack go? I can get on with that.
He said
chant.
no go Pack, go. I that's what I meant. I read it wrong.
I can get on that chant, no problem.
We normally don't bring people on and trash their team so much, but it was such a trio effort with Peter in the comments.
I really felt like
And I just started with one question, and then Med just kept like, usually it's me actually with him. I'll like poke Bears comments in the middle of the show. We're gonna have a Bears panel on. I'll pitch Blitz really quick. We're gonna have a Bears panel on. This is gonna suck for me, guys. Dan, you might just want to join the comments on this show. You're just gonna like laugh your tail off. We're gonna have Bears Country Podcast, Peter Russell, Med, and Bears Country Podcast is 4 guys. So that's 6 Bears fans and me on Tuesday night.
We'll be tuned in, ready to.
That's a lot of Bears for one cave. I can't wait.
I think it's at 8 Eastern. I'm not sure.
I'm
going to give you guys the wrong time so nobody watches it. So, yeah.
The first time I ever went on, actually, I went into the frozen tundra as the only bear, and there's like 8 Packers.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, it was basically a Poke the Bear podcast at that
And
point.
next week, I'm going to bring, it's next week on Friday. Med is going to join Bill, Matt Ramage, who's a big Packer guy, really big Packer show, and his buddy Rev Trev. They do a show. He hops on Matt Ramage. So Matt Ramage is in the comments. I'm commenting about him, and he's watching. That's awesome.
Great,
Matt is joining Friday, and Med, we're gonna poke the bear. Matt, you're gonna have. Matt loves poking Bears fans, so it's gonna be legit. Med's gonna have a great time with us. It's gonna be awesome. Peter will help you in the comments.
That's what's up, Pete.
Thanks for watching, Matt. I'm excited to have you on next week, dude. All right. Med, why don't you tell everybody where to find shots, dude?
Well, you can find me here with Blitz every week, and then you can find me on Shots. It will be every Thursday, 7:30 to 8. Well, 7 to 8, and basically every Thursday. So we'll be ramping back up in September, but we will be doing an episode this Sunday, from my understanding. So,
thanks, dude. Matt said good show, and I've got a surprise for everybody. I'm gonna have Urinating Tree on tomorrow night at 9 Eastern. If you don't know Urinating Tree is, just go check it out on YouTube.
Steelers fan.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time. Med's invited. That's a surprise show for everybody. It'll be tomorrow night. I decided to do it. So, yeah, guys, this was a blast. Blitz episode 2, season 2. And we will see you on Tuesday, but I'll be back with a surprise show. It's not a surprise anymore, tomorrow night. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Med. And thank you, football fans. We'll see you tomorrow.